Hey, good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, May 9th, and I am here with your update for the week for the Edmonton housing market. What is going on in Edmonton's real estate market? And if you are watching live, make sure you hit at the comments. Tell me you're here. Maybe type in the comments where you are located in what city you're in, and feel free to ask me any questions. So, right now, we're going to dive right into it. There are currently 2,800 listings, just over 2,800 listings in Edmonton for single family homes, just slightly up than last week. So if you've been following me with me the last few months, this number has slowly been going up, very slowly, and it's very low. There are, just to give you context, over 4,000 realtors in Edmonton, I think 4,200, and there is not even enough listings for everybody because there are 2,800. So that's just over half of what's available. In St. Albert, you're looking at 188 over 170 from the week before. Sherwood Park, 81, 82. Sherwood Park's always been around that number in the 80s, high 70s to 80s in the last few weeks for active listings, and Spruce Grove, 170 to 168. So if you're looking at, hey, I'm a buyer, I'm waiting for listings to show up, very few do come up. They are coming because obviously these are active listings and we do have some sales. But compared to last year, which we'll talk about in a little bit here, it's very minimal. Now, if you take a look at what went pending this last 7 days, you'll see that we had just half of what we did last week. And then St. Albert, 27 over 40. Sherwood Park, 26 over 41, and Spruce Grove, 19 over 43. That's really interesting because we were quite a bit higher last week in pending sales. If you take a look at what's going on, what does that mean? It means that offers being written and accepted are a lot less in this last week, the first week of May, basically, than they were in April, which honestly, no surprise. April has been busier. May is not chalking up to be as busy as May's usually. And May's looking like it's starting to slow down, even like it was last year. Now, if you take a look at the last 7 days of sold, you'll see that we had 228 versus 207 the week before, 27 versus 24 in St. Albert, Sherwood Park, 26 or 20. Like they're all quite similar in terms of what's going on. Now, I know that one of you have asked me about Leduc, and I will talk about that in a second here. I'm just going to finish off what we talked about just each week. And then I'm going to also talk about the luxury market if you stay tuned as well. So if you look at last year, we had 318 sales at the same week period that we had 228. We are getting closer, but not even close to what we did last year at this time. And at this time in May, our real estate market in Edmonton started to slow down. So, what we're going to see in the next few weeks is that the numbers for last year comparison should come closer to what we're having this year. Now, if they don't, it means that this real estate market is even slower than it was last year when we had that big slowdown. In St. Albert, 19 versus 33, Sherwood Park, 23 versus 36, and Spruce Grove, 22 versus 26 sales. So if you take a look at that, we're still about a third to half of performance of what we were at last year, which makes sense. So as a buyer, you have a little bit more negotiation room, but you still don't have that much because there's not much properties on the market. So I know with new builds, they're talking about giving incentives, but now I'm hearing a little bit of an increase again. I think builders, in my opinion, are a little bit off when it comes to trying to take advantage of the market because this market isn't a market where you want to increase. They're seeing low inventory on our side. So they're thinking, well, if you've got no choices to buy on resale, all you have is this. And so we're just going to charge you more. But I don't think what the builders realize is that the buyers are a lot more savvy now, and it costs them more money to make that decision because of the interest rates. So they will still try to negotiate and they'll hold out because if they hold out and they all hold out, the builders have to go down again because if nobody buys it, then the demand isn't there. So I think that's what they're trying to think. Oh, well, I can get more because there's more demand, and no listings to sell, but it's not always the case. So for the lady that asked about Leduc, the reason I do St. Albert, Shore Park, and Spruce Grove, the surrounding area of Edmonton, is because those are the areas that are primarily the closest to Edmonton. And Leduc, Beaumont, Stony Plain, Fort Saskatchewan, those are all great options. Morinville, they're all other options as well, but their markets are quite different. So I didn't want to dive directly into Leduc because I haven't been observing that market every single week. Can't give you the same insight. However, offline, I'm happy to discuss with anybody, any area or neighborhood specifically, week by week, to see what the trends are and what makes sense in terms of activity. Because we take a look at the single family home market, if that's what you're looking for, but we narrow it down even more to go, okay, the townhouse market's doing this, the double attached garage is doing this, the bungalows are doing this. You have to look at the specific house, especially if you're interested in the area in general. But I would say Edmonton, greater Edmonton area, we're all seeing a slower market than we did last year. And in Calgary, our neighbors to the south of us, they are not seeing this kind of market at all. Calgary is very bustling. Edmonton, don't get me wrong, is still moving, but not at the pace that Calgary, Vancouver, and Toronto are moving this year. So that is also kind of part and parcel. While Edmonton is usually more affordable than those other cities, our prices have stabilized. They're not increasing by 8 to 10% like they did in the first quarter of last year. And overall increase last year wasn't that significant because we had such a downturn in the last half of the year. Now, I wanted to go over the luxury market as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up our Paragon system, which is our inside behind the scenes scoop when it comes to what realtors use. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to let you see in the back end here what is going on in Edmonton's luxury market in the last week. So if I just take a look at the actives, pendings, and sold in Edmonton, I want to look, I'd say luxury market is 800 plus. Now, we just want to look in the last 7 days. So you can see there's quite a bit of activity. So let's just see what's sold in the last 7 days. So we've had 11 properties sell in the last 7 days. The lowest price, 800,000, all the way to 1.9. So the highest house sold for 1.9 was in Oliskew, and it was on the market only 36 days. And just to sneak peek, since you might want to see this, this is the house. So relatively newer, not brand new, obviously. For 1.9, a pretty decent size house. Take a note, the kitchen's not white. It's not that trendy color, but it is classic. And in Oliskew, it's country, also known as Country Club. That house is over 5,000 square feet, 2-story. Laurier Heights was the next highest, sold at 1.4 million at 2,500 square feet. Now, this is a newer type of home because Laurier Heights, their houses don't typically start that new. So this is quite a bit newer than the one we just looked at in Oliskew. I love the flooring. This is what you get for 1.4 in Laurier. And then 1.225 in Cameron Heights, 1.2 in Oliskew. So you've got 2 in Oliskew that sold over $1 million in the last week. You got Westmount and Strathcona. So this is just in 7 days. So our market still is quite healthy. And you can see that the average days on market isn't too long here. 34 days on market average for over 800,000 in Edmonton for single family homes is pretty decent. So luxury market is still pretty strong in Edmonton. What you get, you're getting a lot more now than maybe you would have last year or the year before. However, like there's still, these homes are all over 2,000 square feet. And then as soon as you go under 2,000 square feet, you can see the difference in the price point. Now there's a few here that were sold under, but these are older, right? So you can take a look at this. It's a bit older of a style, so you're not going to get the same type of value. They're not even showing the inside of the house. There we go. So there's the inside, a little bit more dated than what people are used to seeing, especially we just looked at the Laurier house. And then the low, quote unquote, the lower end, Fulton Place, Brandon Garden. So these are all south, central, south, and west. In terms of the areas of what has been going on in luxury market. If you want to take a look at let's take a look at what's pending. So what is pending? There's 10 properties pending right now. And again, if you're watching this, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment. So here's the pending deals from 827 to 1.295 million. Again, all west, southwest. You got one in Summerside here that's pending. And then for active sales, over 800,000 in Edmonton, we have 389 options. So you can see if, you had 11 go pending or whatever. What were you pending here? I'm losing my mind here. 10 pending. That means there's less than 10%. significantly less than 10% that are going pending. So what does that mean when you're in this market looking to sell? It's you have to plan to take some time when you're looking at a house over 800,000. Now, when I say plan to take some time, it doesn't mean you price really high and just hope and pray and wish. You got to make sure there's activity happening in the property too. That's why you're going to see some properties like this. It's almost been a year. Most of these have been around the average days on market, 71 days that are sitting active on the market. And you'll see properties all over the place here that range in location. They're west, central, southwest. We've got some that are southeast here. You've got some in central Edmonton. You've got some in south. New areas, old areas. Laurier is obviously old. Wedgwood is older. Ramsey Heights older. But then you've got Bonnie Doon, also older. Laurel's a bit newer. You can see it's a newer house. Rosenthal is in here as well. So there's lots of variety for 389 properties. So that means if you're looking to buy in this market, then you've got choices, right? Just got to maybe be realistic about what you can get for your money, but you've got lots of choices. Let's just show you quickly what it looks like in this price point from 3 to 500, which is the most popular price point. You have, let's just do 350 to 450. You've got 644 in all of Edmonton active, and then 450 to 550. You have 556. So there's still quite a few options. And now if you narrow it down to different neighborhoods, you can see why things would be a little bit different in terms of the demand. You can kind of see here, I'll take a look at solds. Oops, not withdrawn. Anyone has questions, please feel free to pop on. So 50 sold in the last week for 450 to 550. So that's not very many sold when you look at how many actives there were. And this is all of Edmonton. The average price in between is literally in the middle of the two. So you're not seeing one swaying over to the other. And you can see the variety of homes you're going to get for 450 all the way to 550. Like even this is the new 450 is the detached garage homes when it comes to new. Sometimes you're lucky to get these like 463, but that's southeast to Williger Town. You've got 467 for, I believe it looks like a duplex. Oh no, it's a detached garage home with the garages in the back. And then if you want to spend a little bit more money in the fives, now you're going to get the double attached in the new area. West Jasper Place has a 1700 raised bungalow. Ormsby Place is an older neighborhood. I actually grew up in that area. And this one was in the fives. And I'm curious to see if it's renovated because these were built in the 90s. So the flooring looks like it's not original. However, it is still more of the 90s look. Hasn't been fully updated at all. But they do have the white classic kitchen. So again, people are really into the white kitchens. This is a great property because I bet you anything, this has a decent lot size. So when you look at older homes, you're going to get bigger lot sizes. Oh, but here's an issue. Backs on to the Anthony Henday. So you can see, oh, you can't see it. I didn't share that screen with you to open up to another thing. But it goes it backs onto the Anthony Henday. So that's why that property is maybe sitting there. Got to make sure things are priced properly. But you definitely right now still have an opportunity. Interest rates, if you haven't heard, right now at 4.34 for a 5-year fixed isn't horrible. And people are wondering, should I wait till the interest rates drop down? Now they're speculating the interest rates might go to low fours, which is kind of what we're in right now. So if you're waiting for that like 0.3, 0.5% drop, maybe not necessarily worth it as we see the prices. Are you thinking the house prices might drop? The house prices probably aren't going to drop significantly. You have prices that are, if they're too high right now, of course they have to drop. But in terms of market value, what their things are worth, you're not going to see a substantial drop. Edmonton's a 1% to 2% increase and decrease every single year. And we are an election year, and this is not a political stance. I'm just saying, watch and we'll see what happens. The government is changing. Like we got the election at the end of the month. I'm very curious what's going to happen in terms of the decision that Alberta makes and how it impacts our housing market, because it always impacts the housing market. And that's what I've always noticed. So if you're watching this afterwards, make sure to comment. I'm going to be back here next week. And don't forget, this Saturday, I have my full What Happened in April YouTube market on Saturday launching.